Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 1, Jump into the Sea. Chapter 1 Jumped into the Sea. Away from the shore of the sea, a luxurious private cruise ship is slowly driving. At this moment, the sea is like a roaring tiger, surging and screaming, like Tang Aining's mood at the moment, like a tiger. Tang Aining has a casual white t-shirt, and the jeans are below. At the moment, he is standing on the edge of the deck of the cruise ship. As soon as he takes a step back, he will fall into the deep sea. Of course, this is not the point. The point is that at the moment, her right shoulder and left thigh are shot, blood flow is not enough, making her crumbling, but strong support does not fall. It can be imagined how much discouragement and strength it takes. Of course, if it was only because of these two shots, for Tang Aining, it was not so trembling and crumbling, but because she had already been prescribed medicine before, she lost a lot of strength. Otherwise, how can she let them catch it easily? Opposite Tang Aining, confronting her, headed by a man and a woman. A woman's white tube-top short dress, a big wave of dark red long hair, heavy makeup, extremely charming, full of smiles. And the man, a white suit, about 30 years old, handsome and extraordinary. The two are close to each other, with a sloppy posture and a slutty taste. Behind the men and women, there are 7 or 8 men in black suits, like a bodyguard. However, the man in a white suit exudes coldness, and the eagle-like eyes are staring at Tang Aining in front of him. The raised hand is holding a pistol at her, and the trigger is ready to move. The one shot in Tang Aining was also opened by him. Why? The sound that almost squeezed out of the teeth, Tang Aining's bloodshot eyes, with endless anger, pain, remorse and unwillingness, stared at the intimate men and women in front of the eyes. Why? The woman, that is, Tang Yashin is like a ridiculous joke. He smiled and said, Tang Aining, can you still not see the facts? Actually, from beginning to end the more people you love, the more you are, the ones you are with, just use them. Otherwise, you think that the more you and your son are together for 2 years, the more you don't touch you. You've Tang Aining sighed, if the eyes can kill, I am afraid that Tang Yashin and Chi Zi, who are standing in front of her eyes, have already broken their bones. Tang Yashin, Tang Aining's half-sister, Xiao Tang Aining is 2 years old. 10 years ago, the appearance of Tang Ya's mother became angry with her mother's mental breakdown and became a vegetative person. And Tang Yashin and her little 3 mothers came into the room. On the other hand, he was thrown away by his father to the Dark Killer Organization training, and then secretly made something unspeakable to the Tang family. She was unwilling, but her mother was in the hands of her father, and she killed her mother as long as she did not want to. Chi Ziyue, a man with a plain background and a very good self, just wants her Tang Aining to be smart, but she is planted in the hands of men with different watches. Tang Yashin did not mind the anger of Tang Aining and continued, Dad knows that as long as your mother dies, you can no longer control you. Therefore, you can only arrange a man to chase you, let you fall in love, and willingly do things for him. However, so many men you can't look at it, but because of an accident, you have taken a fancy to my man. For the Tang family, I can only endure my man to accompany you to act. Tang Yashin said, while showing the appearance of grievances, although it was only pretending to be a model, it still made people feel that I saw pity, and the cheesy who was next to him was very comfortable with the comfort, baby, rest assured, from now on, I will always be by your side, will not let you be so lonely in the middle of the night. That is, you belong to me alone, whether it is your body or your heart. Tang Ya said with a sigh of relief, his fingers were drawn on the chest, a circle of teasing, a look of teasing that makes Cheesy more and more stunned and heart-wrenching. If there is still something to do in front of him, he really wants to press Tang Yashin under his body and ask for it. The scene of disgusting stung the heart of Tang Aining, but more made her feel sick. If she was not being shot at the gun, she would never allow these people to be guilty in front of her own eyes. Youth Tang Aining's words changed Tang Ya's face and wanted to refute it. But the words were not spoken yet, and they were interrupted by Chi Ziyue, baby, don't be angry, she's just a dying people, let her take a slap in the face, what's the matter? Listening to Cheesy, the more he said, the face of Tang Yashin is better, also, I didn't want to deal with her so early, but who told her that her mother had died? I have to say that their mother and daughter are still it's really affectionate, even for her mother and Tang's family, even your account won't buy. After a pause, he said, Tang Aining, I am thinking that you have contributed a lot to the Tang family. I will give you two roads. First, I will jump on myself. As for the second thing. Saying, Tang Yashin's face showed a meaningful smile. Second, it's just playing with me, and enjoying the feeling of changing from girl to woman before death. How? Tang Aining clenched his fists in both hands, and his face was ugly and distorted. However, anyway, it is a dead end, and she no longer says any struggle. Although she could have hurt Tang Yashin before she died, she also knew that once she was caught, she would suffer the abuse of these men, which she could not bear. And so, Tang Aining smiled coldly at Tang Yashin and Qi Zi, and said coldly, if I don't die, I will definitely not let you die. Tang Aining's words are like a curse, and suddenly Tang Yashin and Qi Zi are more and more chilly. It seems that this curse will be realized in general, but they are not waiting for them to react. I saw that Tang Aining jumped into the raging sea. Tang Aining's body continued to sink, and her consciousness became more and more blurred. However, during the day, she saw the jade pendant on her chest flashing red, and then she completely lost consciousness. F City, China's third-tier cities. In a general ward in the city center hospital, there are 4 beds in the ward, but only the bed on the far right against the wall. On the hospital bed, half a year, a girl of about 17 or 8 years old, with gauze on her head and exquisite facial features, is considered a beauty. However, at the moment, it is a deep face, staring at the central news broadcast on the TV. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 2, Reborn Female Student. Chapter 2 Reborn Female Student. The news said that yesterday afternoon, in a sea area of the sea, a female body was found, about 25 years old. According to the investigation, the woman was the commercial spy killer pursued by the police today. Seeing this news, the girl's face is still very heavy. No one knows that the soul of the girl's body at the moment has been replaced, and it is unfortunate that it is the soul of the only female body in the news. Yes, Tang Aining is born again. Is it incredible? But things have happened. Even Tang Aining, who has always had a good ability, has used it for a morning to fully digest and accept. Since God makes her reborn, she naturally can't live up to the vows before her death. If she can live, she must let Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin not die. So, Qi Ziyue, Tang Yashin, waiting for her to come to revenge, and the Tang family who killed her mother and used her for so many years. The body name reborn by Tang Aining is Gu Ning, 18 years old, born in an ordinary single-parent family, and the mother is born out of wedlock. For this reason, the mother and daughter have always suffered from the cold eyes and humiliation of relatives, and Gu Ning is also bear the nickname of wild species. Not only that, in school, Gu Ning was also rejected and isolated by classmates, as well as bullying. Therefore, Gu Ning has been very inferior, timid, and ill-intentioned since he was a child. Gu Ning's mother, Gu Man, is only a working class. Because there is no university diploma, she can only work in a factory. It is only about 3,000 or 4,000 yuan a month. Life is very tight. Gu Ning is currently attending the 3rd year of high school in F City, and there is a multi-semester college entrance examination. It's just that Gu Ning's performance is not good. It's still a bit difficult to get to college. To this end, relatives have a lot of ridicule, but also a good heart to persuade the Ning college entrance examination to simply find someone to marry, so as not to increase the burden of Gu Man. However, the reason for Gu Ning's hospitalization, thinking of this incident, Tang Aining's face gradually cooled down, and the scorpion still faintly angered. Perhaps it is because of the same illness. Prior to this, Gu Ning had a boyfriend who had been in contact for 2 months. He was a student of the top class, called Qin Wei. Qin Lan has a handsome sunshine and learns some of the best results. His family is also good. His father is the director of the tourism bureau and his mother is the director of the hospital's obstetrics and gynecology department. Gu Ning dreams, but such a good boy will pursue himself. The most important thing is that Qin Hao is a boy who has been in love for a year. Although she felt that she could not match it, she was reluctant to refuse. After a few days of entanglement, she still agreed. It was just yesterday that all this was a full stop. Yesterday was Friday, and when I was out of school in the afternoon, Qin Yu met with Gu Ning. Gu Ning thought it was a date, but he didn't want it. Qin Lan appeared with Gu Yu, and when he met, Qin Yu and Gu Ning said that they broke up. Gu Yu, Gu Ning's daughter, is only half a year older than Gu Ning, because she was instilled by her parents as a wild seed, and Gu Ning is more beautiful than her, so from childhood to age, Gu Yu has been to bully Gu Ning for fun. Gu Ning, Qin Hao does not like you at all. He is with you because he is betting with me. If he can catch up with you and break up after 2 months of communication, I promise to associate with him. Therefore, from now on, Qin Hao is my boyfriend of Gu Yu. Gu Yu said to Gu Ning proudly. Gu Ning heard the words, shocked for a while before reacting, asked Qin, is it true? Qin Lan looked at her with a disdainful look, and the tone was full of disapproval, that is, of course, Gu Ning, you don't really think that I will like you like a poor girl with no background in life. If you don't want to catch up with it, I don't even want to look at you, disgusting. Wen Yen, Gu Ning almost could not stand. I thought Cinderella had met Prince Charming, but I couldn't think of it. It was just a ridiculous joke. Gu Ning couldn't accept this fact and fled, but because he didn't pay attention to seeing the road, he had a car accident, his brain was seriously injured, his blood flowed, he was fainting on the spot, and the driver was escaping. After waking up, she became her Tang Aining. Just then, Tang Aining's thoughts were interrupted by 2 low female voices outside the door. The 4th child, this is 30,000 yuan. I have saved all of my brother-in-law, but the 30,000 yuan is not enough for Ningning to do surgery. This is Gu Ning's voice of Gu Qing, the tone of concern is nothing. If you don't make a vacation, you paused and said, if you don't, you can borrow it with your older brother. Although Gu Qing proposed this, but there is no hope in my heart. I have already called my eldest brother, but my eldest brother said that the money is a scorpion, and he has no money on him. You don't know that you are a big man. Money is her life. I want to borrow money from him. It is for her life. Gu Man is very helpless. Several sisters in the family belong to the eldest brother Gu Qingxiang, the most wealthy, but also the most tricky, saying that it is the scorpion to manage the money, she does not know this is an excuse. Also, what about the 3 brothers? The 3rd brother said that he just bought a new house and has no deposits. So it is not good for me. It hurts Ningning to follow me. If Ningning has something to say, I don't want to. Live. Gu Man is pain and despair. Although Tang Ai Ning is no longer the former Tang Aining, her professionalism is still there, so even though the sound outside the door is very small, Gu Ning in the house can still hear clearly. When I heard this, Tang Aining could not help but move. Because she had been digesting the facts of rebirth when she woke up this morning, she did not let Gu Man know that she was waking up, but she was worried. Tang Aining had a small embarrassment in her heart. Oh, the door was pushed open and walked into 2 middle-aged women of similar age, all wearing ordinary clothes. Needless to guess, those are all dozens of goods, and they are still very old, but they are very clean and tidy. Because of the bad conditions, they have not been maintained for many years, so their looks seem to be a few years older than the actual age, saying that they will not be suspected at the age of 50. Mom, too. Tang Aining took the lead and did not feel uncomfortable because she had completely digested the fact of rebirth. She can accept Gu Man's mother so soon, in addition to accepting Gu Ning's memory, so that the original deep love of the mother is deeply rooted in the heart, more because of his desire for the mother, and regret. Seeing Gu Man, she reminded her of her mother in the past, 2 women who were abandoned by men, but Gu Man was a little more fortunate than Tang Aining's mother. Although I have had a hard time, I can at least live well. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 3, Power Exposure. Chapter 3, Ability to Reveal. And Tang Aining, no, Gu Ning's opening can scare Gu Man and Gu Qing. Looking at the waking, Gu Ning, Gu Man and Gu Qing, who leaned on the bed, could not believe their eyes. The doctor said that Gu Ning had blood in his brain and had to be removed by surgery to wake up, but now she has already woken up. Ning, you woke up. Although I was scared, Gu Man quickly reacted, tears, and suddenly fell. A healthy step rushed to the bedside, wanting to hug Gu Ning, but was afraid of hurting her wounds, so I was overwhelmed, and I didn't know where to put it. Ning Ning, you woke up, you really woke up. Gu Qing also rushed up immediately, still unbelievable, but more happy and excited. Mom, too, I woke up. Gu Ning said, immediately holding Gu Man's hands and giving her a sense of reality. Wake up, just, Gu Ning has disappeared. Gu Qing is also happy to come out of tears, such a great sorrow and joy, it is really the heart of the test. Right, I will call the doctor. Gu Qing immediately responded, and then ran out. Soon, the doctor came, and was surprised at the fact that Gu Ning was awake. It was a miracle. However, this has to be arranged for a comprehensive inspection, which can only be determined after the results are confirmed. So the doctor immediately arranged an inspection for Gu Ning. After checking, Gu Qing immediately went to Gu Ning to buy food, and Gu Man would stay with Gu Ning, and the cold and warm. From Gu Man, Gu Ning felt a strong motherly love. For the first time since she became a half-vegetarian, she was so concerned. Although I was listening to a lot of sweet words when I was with Chi Zi, but those were acting and acting. After eating a good meal, Gu Qing left because she had to go to work in the afternoon. Gu Man had set off the rest of the 3-day holiday this month after Gu Ning had an accident yesterday. He didn't have to go to work today and tomorrow. Gu Man and Gu Ning said for a while, let her rest. Gu Ning knows that Gu Man has not closed her eyes since yesterday afternoon, so she can let her go to the empty bed next to her. Although Gu Ning is now awake, the big stone in Gu Man's heart has also been put down a lot, but she still can't feel at ease because she still has no final results, so she doesn't want to rest. Gu Ning said that if she does not rest, Gu Man helpless, they can only agree. Gu Man is really tired. He was just lying down to make Gu Ning feel at ease, but he didn't want to. It didn't take long to sleep. And Gu Ning, but there is no sleepiness, has been looking at the ceiling days, cannot help but think of the various past lives. Suddenly, she saw a pair of feet walking over the top of her head. She was shocked and Gu Ning immediately returned to God. There was nothing but the ceiling of the white flowers. Good end, how did she see a pair of feet walking over the top of her head? Is it an illusion? Gu Ning no longer looked at the ceiling, but turned over, his eyes fell on the side of the bed, facing the side of his own sleeping Gu Man. Her skin is extremely yellow and slack, her eyes are covered with crow's feet, and wrinkles are on her forehead. Gu Man has been working very hard. She has never been willing to buy some skin care products or cosmetics for herself. She never wants to eat a little good. She never wants to buy a better clothes for herself. For Gu Ning, she is much more generous than herself. As long as she can afford it, she will try her best. However, Gu Ning has been sensible since childhood. Although he is inferior and lonely, he knows the conditions of his family, so he never compares with others. Now that she has become Gu Ning, she naturally will not let her and Gu Man's life maintain the status quo, and she will take revenge and will not allow her to continue to be so weak. She has ambitions. Since she has to deal with the Tang family, she must make herself stronger than the Tang family. Tang family, although it is only the third-rate giants of the capital, but the foundation is very strong, billions of assets, in the third-tier cities, that is the first giant. Of course, the Tang family will be so brilliant, and it will be indispensable for Tang Aining. For the Tang family, Tang Aining killed the opponents of the Tang family, stole the confidential documents of the Tang family, and did not know how many crimes. Because the former Tang Ai Ning was afraid of leaving evidence and digging the grave, they all destroyed the evidence. Now even if they want to use the evidence to accuse the Tang family, they can't find it. Thinking, Gu Ning lost his mind, and even saw someone walking in front of him, which surprised Gu Ning and immediately returned to God. But where did anyone go before? Is it only the wall of white flowers? Is she really hallucinating? No, she just saw a person walking past, and saw a familiar door with a digital card hanging on the door. The number is 106. 106's door, isn't that the ward diagonally opposite her ward? However, how could she see the door? I don't know why, but she doesn't think it's an illusion, but a feeling of real seeing. Ghost makes God worse. Gu Ning looks at the wall again and concentrates on the spirit. Then, the wall in front of her eyes slowly became transparent. She saw 106 wards, corridors, patients, doctors, and nurses walking around. Suddenly, a mysterious and unreliable possibility is jumping out of Gu Ning's mind. Is this perspective? This consciousness will be a bit embarrassing for Gu Ning, and he couldn't help but take a breath. In order to determine whether it is perspective, Gu Ning immediately looked at the other wall, and then the wall gradually became transparent. She saw the pictures in the room, beds, patients, and instruments. This time she is sure, this is perspective. However, Gu Ning still feels some unreal feelings, wants to get more proof, so that he can constantly look at different places. Suddenly, Gu Ning felt a tingling pain in his eyes and fainted. In the dream, Gu Ning dreamed that after he fell into the sea, his body continued to sink, and the red jade of the chest flashed red. Then, I heard a long and ethereal voice, and the old voice came and said, there was a jade in ancient times, named Phoenix Blood Jade, the blood of the phoenix, and the aura of chaos. The combination of Lingyu and Nirvana open, space is created, to absorb Yuling, you can live longer, but also rejuvenate. Daddy, she was so shocked that she suddenly woke up from her sleep. What is going on? At the time of Gu Ning's doubts, a message is lining up in my mind. After straightening out, Gu Ning understood it. The jade of the phoenix is made of the blood of the phoenix. Because it is an ancient thing, it is accompanied by the aura of chaos and the spirit of psychic. And the reason why she will be born again is because of this phoenix blood jade. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 4, Doctor with Gun. Chapter 4 Doctor with a Gun. In the past life, she accidentally picked up a red jade pendant, the shape is the phoenix. Although she did not know whether this jade was true or not, it was very close to her, so Gu Ning left. Unexpectedly, this was actually a fetish that gave her a rebirth. This is not limited, because the past life when she died, phoenix blood jade into her soul, inherited the essence of Yuling, opened the jade. The jade is a pair of psychic eyes, and everything seen by the jade is invisible. For example, perspective, aura, and unforgettable. Reiki refers to a kind of pure energy that exists between heaven and earth and in the universe, similar to the essence of the sun and the moon. There is also a jade space, which is a static storage space, which can be used to engrave the things in front of you, dead, into the space of the jade. Of course, these all require the support of Reiki, because once you use the jade, it is aura. With aura, you can live longer, and you can use Reiki to heal and cure. The more the aura, the bigger the space will be, the more it will accommodate. Because the blood of the phoenix is jade itself, the aura that phoenix blood jade needs is the aura of jade. Jade, with soft jade and jadeite. Nephrite refers to Hetien jade, and also includes other traditional jades such as chalcedony, Nanyang jade, crystal, agate, amber, coral, turquoise, lapis lazuli. Jadeite is jade. Of course, as long as it is the aura of jade, it can be. Jade, both ancient and modern, is very popular and very common. Therefore, this is not a very difficult thing for Gu Ning. Of course, this is not something that 1 or 2 jade can satisfy, but a large amount of jade, which cannot be calculated even if it is even large. Therefore, to meet the aura needs of Gu Ning to support the jade, there is only a general approach, and that is, gambling. She now has a jade, can see through, so, gambling stone for her, nothing more than a hand to come. Only with gambling stones, can she get more jade and jadeites to absorb more pure and rich jade spirits. At the same time, she can also use gambling stones to make money. Of course, if you make money, you can use other things. For example, gambling, playing symbols, using perspective, that is 100 and 100. However, this is not a long-term solution, because the casino has the rules of the casino, there are limits to winning, and the win is added to the blacklist, and may even lead to the killing. Therefore, in the case of other ways to make money, Gu Ning will not gamble, of course, gambling is not counted. There is also antiques, because the antiques have a long time absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon, but also have aura. There is aura, that is the real thing, and the more the aura, the longer the object is represented. Gambling stones, a knife is poor, a knife is rich. Antiques is also the same reason. Mist will be rich overnight, eye-catching, or bloody, or ruined. But these are not a problem for Gu Ning, who now has a strong plug-in. Thinking about this, Gu Ning is excited and dizzy. This plug-in is not a general strong. If she had this jade, she couldn't mix a famous one, then she could really die. Thinking of the money, Gu Ning's original shock became a surprise, and it was easy to accept the jade. Ning Ning, what's wrong with you? Hearing the voice of Gu Man's worries in his ear, Gu Ning immediately reacted and looked worried about the Mang, and called, "Mom, you woke up." Seeing Gu Ning reacted, Gu Man was relieved, but there were still some unsettled. "I have long woke up, but I saw you in a dull appearance. I called it several times and didn't respond. I thought that something happened to my brain. It scared me." "Ah." Gu Man said this. Gu Ning explained something guilty, that, "I just wanted to get into the matter." Gu Man doesn't say much, as long as Gu Ning has nothing to do. "Wake up, it's 6 o'clock, what do you want to eat? Mom will buy it for you." Gu Man asked. "I am not picky eaters, and everything is good," Gu Ning said. Gu Man opened his mouth, but after all, he still said nothing. Because she knows that Gu Ning is sensible, even if she tells her what to eat, she will definitely not be good. In this case, she is not as good as her own decision. Buy her something delicious. After Gu Man left, Gu Ning felt that his limbs were a little tired, and he got out of bed and went out for a walk. However, just after leaving the ward without a few steps, he was rushed to face, wearing a white coat, and the doctor with a mask hit it. Gu Ning was awkward and almost fell. If she did not respond quickly, she hurriedly supported the wall. Although Gu Ning's heart is not good, but think of the other party may be because of urgency, unstoppable, not intentional, so Gu Ning will not care about others. "But I didn't want to," the man who bumped into her didn't even have an apology, and even stunned her and rushed away. Gu Ning glanced, but not because he did not apologize to marry her, but she saw the mad hatred from his eyes, but it was not directed at her. Gu Ning couldn't help but look back and look at it. This person is very wrong. Suddenly, Gu Ning's eyes saw the man's waist through by Dawei, and there was a gun hidden. Gu Ning looks a sinking, how can a doctor have a gun? Looking at the other person's eyes is not like the police pretending to perform a task, but it is like revenge. Although it doesn't matter what the other party is doing, it doesn't matter to her, but this thing has made her discover it, so she can't stand on the sidelines. If the other party is really seeking revenge, once the gun is shot, it is feared that there will be innocent people who will be implicated. When thinking of innocent people being implicated, they may be killed or injured. Gu Ning cannot sit idly by. She is not a savior, not a virgin, but she is not a cold-blooded person. Within her ability, she can reach out and she will reach out. So, Gu Ning immediately followed up quietly. Gu Ning followed the suspect to an office. When he was preparing to go in, a young female doctor wearing a white coat walked out, but was blocked by the suspect. Gu Ning has been paying attention to the action of the suspect. When the suspect saw the female doctor, she immediately escaped the gun and confronted her. Because the gun is covered with white coat, it is not obvious. The female doctor looked pale and pale. Then I didn't know what the suspect said, and the female doctor was unwilling to go with the suspect. When Gu Ning saw it, he immediately followed the past. They went up the stairs, because most people go up and down the stairs, so there are no people in the corridor. Even if there is, they don't see anything wrong with them. Until the top of the building, on the roof. There are no other people on the rooftop, only the suspect and the female doctor. Of course, there is the secret Gu Ning. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 5, Save People, 500,000 checks. Chapter 5 Saves People, 500,000 checks. Gu Ning did not immediately take the shot, but first observed and waited for the opportunity. Because the suspect's gun has been facing the female doctor, the distance is so close. If she is not sure to take the suspect in one fell swoop, but it is shocking him to shoot, it is not good. Gu Ning sweeps the environment of the rooftop, and there is just a bunch of miscellaneous goods on the right side of the exit, which can cover Gu Ning's body and let Gu Ning get closer to each other. Yang, what are you going to do? The gun was pointed at, and the female doctor was shaking and shivering. Hey! What am I going to do? The suspect was also cold and snarled by Yang Lan. Immediately, the eyes showed fierceness and said with anger, Anjan, I am because you have fallen to this end. You said that I want how? I was fired by the hospital, my wife would not run with others, it was you, it was because of you. Speaking of this, Anjan felt that he was wronged, and subconsciously retorted, that is your own misconduct, as a doctor, but there is no medical ethics, self-sufficient collection of the patient's family red envelopes, care for human life, I just save people. Stop, that's my business, you have no right to control. Yang Hao screamed, holding the gun's hand tightly, said coldly, now, let people give me an account to play 5 million, want otherwise, don't blame me for shooting. Anjan was so scared that he swallowed and said, I don't have 5 million at all, but I can take out 2 million. No, I will have 5 million, that slut, because someone gave her 5 million to leave me, I have to take her back to 5 million. Yang Yen said excitedly, the action in his hand just want to move. At this time, Gu Ning, just by the cover of miscellaneous goods, came to the back of the 2 meters from Yang Lan. When he saw Yang Lan's movement, he was shocked by Gu Ning, for fear that he accidentally fired a gun. Yang Lan's nerves have been stimulated and have produced abnormal thinking. Not to mention that Yang Lan made such a move today, it is already a crime. Even if he has 5 million, waiting for him, it is still a legal sanction, and there is no chance to get back his wife. Even if he had the chance, his wife would not be willing to follow him. Not to mention that the other party can give her 5 million, it means that the family is naturally expensive, if her wife will follow other people's words because of greed, then how can she lose watermelon and go to sesame? Even if Yang Lan's wife doesn't care about watermelon, it's just that Yang Lan is now a criminal suspect and will be caught sooner or later. If Yang Lan's wife continues to talk to Yang Lan, not only can she not be with Yang Lan, but the 5 million will also be squandered. Gu Ning worried that Anjan said the wrong words and angered Yang Lan, and let him run out of control with an excitement, so that she did not even have a chance to save people. However, fortunately, Anjan is a smart person. Seeing Yang Hao's expression, he immediately put his attitude and comforted him, good, 5 million, but I have only 2 million on my account, 5 million. If you need to call, let the family call. As long as she can escape, even if she is 5 million, she will recognize it. After she did not believe that Yang Lan could escape the police's pursuit. Gu Ning did not think that Anjan gave 5 million to Yang Lan, and Yang Lan would let go of Anjan, because Yang Lan is not stupid. If she let go of Anjan, she will turn back to the police immediately. In this way, Yang Lan can get the money and can't run. When he heard the compromise of Anjan, An Lan's emotions eased a few points, okay, but you have to call the hands free. Good, Anjan took out his mobile phone and trembled. Yang Hao's gun seems to be a little tired, and he couldn't help but loose it. However, at this time, the opportunity came, and Gu Ning fiercely strung out and slammed Yang Hao. Because Yang Yu was unprepared, he was directly hit by a slam, and could not bear the gravity and fell to the ground, and his hand was thrown out because he did not hold the gun, and fell to the ground a few meters away. Things happened so suddenly, Anjan was directly scared, and the phone fell underground and didn't know. However, the matter is not over yet. Yang Lan, who has no guns, is not an opponent of Gu Ning at all. If he has not resisted, he will be stunned directly by Gu Ning. In order to prevent the other party from waking up, Gu Ning rushed to find the rope, tied Yang Hao, and then blocked his mouth with a rag. I still can't call the police, Gu Ning looked at the dumbfounded Ampoule. Ah! Oh. When Anjan was able to react after knowing it, seeing the mobile phone in his hand disappeared, and stunned, then found that the phone fell to the ground, and immediately squatted to pick up the phone. But before I even had time to dial, the phone rang and shocked Anjan. See the caller ID and pick up immediately, hey, Dad. Hey, where are you? I am in the inpatient department's rooftop. Anjan told the father what happened, and finally asked, Dad, is this a direct warning or how to solve it? When Yen, Guning brows slightly, do not understand what is meant by Anjan, do not call the police and how to solve it. What? Is this happening? You are all right. And father heard, scared and jumped out. Dad, I am fine now. Anjan said. You wait, I will come over immediately, and there will be no alarm first. An's father said, Anjan should have a good voice and hang up. Guning had a good ear, so I naturally heard what An said. After Anjan hangs up the phone, Guning is puzzled and asks, why not call the police? Because of the alarm, the whole hospital knows that something happened in the hospital, which will make everyone panic and have a bad influence. Anjan explained. When I heard that, Guning felt that it was, and I didn't say anything. Anjan said again, however, Yang Lan will definitely be sent to the police station, but it is only sent privately. Just talking to Yang Lan, I have already recorded it, and there is his fingerprint on the gun. Become evidence. Recorded? Guning couldn't help but look at Anjan. In the case of that crisis, she also knew to go to the recording. Little sister, thank you, if it weren't for you, I am afraid that I will be escaping. Anjan thanked Guning sincerely, then took out a check and a pen from his clothes, wrote it and handed it to Gu Ning, little sister, I don't know how to repay you. This is a check of 500,000. I hope you can accept it. Gu Ning looked at the check and frowned. Although she was short of money, she was not willing to accept the check. She has her own principles. Since she takes the initiative, she will not ask for the other party's remuneration. Therefore, she cannot say, I am not saving people, so you will take back the 500,000. It's very unexpected to be quiet. However, she did not doubt whether the other party was not because of the abandonment of the 500,000, so she did not want to, but really felt her goodwill. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 6, Visit. Chapter 6 Visiting. I was afraid that I would continue to give her a check and let the other person feel that she was humiliating her, so Anjan did not insist. However, the other party saved her after all. If she didn't do anything, she wouldn't feel at ease. Therefore, after Anjan took the check, he took out the business card and handed it to Gu Ning. Since you don't accept the check, then let's make a friend. This is my business card, what needs to go to my place? Although I am looking for me, as long as I can do what I can, I will never give up. Compared with money, people are actually more serious, but Gu Ning has not refused. It is not her greed, but people say it, just make a friend, if she does not accept it, then it seems to look down on others. Moreover, she needs friends, needs contacts, she doesn't feel how strong she is, and she doesn't need help from others. Of course, she has never been tough, and it is necessary to look at the wishes and abilities of others. Okay, then I will accept it. Gu Ning quickly took the business card. Seeing Gu Ning's acceptance, Anjan immediately reached out to her friendly hand and smiled and said, Hello, my name is Anjan. Gu Ning also friendlily held Anjan's hand, Hello, my name is Gu Ning. This is a formal understanding. I will leave first, otherwise my mother can't find me. I will be anxious. Don't expose me when I call the police. I don't want to bother. After that, I didn't wait for the Anjan to respond. Gu Ning turned and walked away quickly. Anjan wants to stop Gu Ning, she still has no contact information for her. But Gu Ning went too fast, and when Anjan chased the stairs, people were gone. And Yang Lan is still here, she can't leave, she can only do it. Gu Ning left for a few minutes, and the rooftop came. The head is a middle-aged man wearing a white coat of about 50, followed by a young male doctor who is about 30 years old. Hey, you're fine. As soon as it appeared, the middle-aged man headed immediately ran towards Anjan and asked with concern. Dad, I am fine. And said. It's okay, nothing is fine. After seeing Anjan with nothing, An's father was completely relieved. However, after glanced at the rooftop, except for Anjan, who was tied to the underground and fainted Yang Lan, there would be no other people, and father asked, the girl who saved you. Oh. She is gone, afraid that her mother can't find her. I don't want to worry about her when she says the police. She doesn't want to bother. Anjan told Gu Ning what he meant. Then you repaid the family? And father asked again. I gave her 500,000 checks. She didn't want to. She gave her my business card and said that she would be a friend. If there is anything I can find, she will accept it. Anjan said. When Yan and father was also surprised, and at the same time grateful to Gu Ning, she is more affectionate to her. Of course, if Gu Ning really wants to pay, they will never give birth to a bad feeling for her. After all, she saved the amnesty, which is an indisputable fact. They settle down, not people who don't know the anti-newspaper. Even if they want 1 or 2 million, they will give it as refreshingly. Gu Man went back to the ward before Gu Ning's forefoot. He didn't see Gu Ning, and suddenly he was anxious. He put out the apple bag and went out to find it. However, just after going out, I saw Gu Ning coming back, and my heart was relieved. Gu Man also knew that he was worried about excessive, and did not say anything about Gu Ning. Nothing happened overnight. The next morning, Gu Ning's inspection report came out, showing no harm, and he was discharged. With this result, Gu Man was completely relieved and immediately packed up and prepared to go home. Gu Ning, I am coming to see you. Just then, a female voice was heard outside the door. Gu Ning looked at it, it was Anjan. Gu Ning was a little surprised, but she was not surprised, because after yesterday's event, she would come to see her, which is normal. As for how the Anjan knows that she is here, Anjan is working in the hospital. If you ask, you will know. Yes, after Gu Ning left yesterday, Anjan was reminded of her later thoughts. Gu Ning was in the hospital, either sick or hospitalized, or her mother, because she mentioned her mother yesterday. Of course, or yesterday she and her mother came to see relatives. If Gu Ning, she would like to ask the help desk. But if Gu Ning's mother, she would have no question, because she did not know the name of Gu Ning's mother. If you are other relatives, you can't ask, and you don't have to ask. However, when I went back to the service desk, Anjan casually asked if there was a patient like Gu Ning. I didn't want to report anything, but I really asked her, so I came to see her this morning. Miss N, you are coming. Gu Ning got up and said hello. This is your mother. Anjan asked to look to the side of Gu Man. Yes, Gu Ning said. Mr. Gu Ning, hello, I am Anjan, Gu Ning's friend. Anjan greeted Gu Man's friendly greetings. In fact, for the name of Gu Man, Anjan is entangled in his heart. The other party is at most 40 years old, and she is 27 years old. Therefore, the other party is only in her early tens. When she calls her, she seems to call the other person old. Call sister. She also claimed to be a friend with Gu Ning, and she called the sister's words, and it was a mess. Gu Ning is 18 years old, she is 10 years old, let her call her aunt, and she does not say that the other party may not want to, even if she is willing, she is not willing. Because she is called aunt, she will call her old. This is really an embarrassing age. Why is she not in her early 20s now? If she is only in her early 20s, she is still young and she is not forced to get married at home all day. But she didn't even have an object, how to get married. And she still wants to be free for a few years, just don't want to get married so early. Okay. Far away. Although she and Gu Ning are 10 years old, Gu Ning does not feel like an 18-year-old girl, but like a big girl who is about the same age as her. Or, this is precocious. Miss N, hello, Gu Man also said hello to N, although he was curious as to how Gu Ning would know a friend who was so different from his age, but he didn't think much. She never limits the rights and freedoms of Gu Ning's friends, but she hopes that she will be measured. This is a supplement to Gu Ning, I hope that Gu Ning will recover soon. Anjan handed things to Gu Man, Miss N came here, and brought something. I am embarrassed to make it. Gu Man is a little embarrassed, because she can see that these things are not cheap. But she still took things. This is the intention of others. If it is rejected, does it mean that we can't look down on others? She is not that kind of person. Small caution, Anjan smiled. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 7, Go Out. Chapter 7 Goes Out. Gu Man put things in the cabinet next to the bed, and then gave Anjan a glass of water. Thank you for Gu Ning's mother, Anjan took over the water, thankful. Gu Ning, how is your situation? Asked Anjan. It's okay, I can leave the hospital now, Gu Ning said. Really? When Yen said that Anjan was also happy for Gu Ning, congratulations. Thank you, Gu Ning said thank you. After sitting for a while, Anjan sent Gu Ning's mother and daughter out of the hospital. I know that Anjan is working in this hospital and is afraid of delaying her to go to work, so Gu Man refused. However, Anjan insisted on sending, Gu Man also did not insist. On the way out, Anjan had helped Gu Ning and her mother to call the car in Didi, so that Gu Man was very embarrassed, but refused to be invalid, so thanked. It was Gu Ning, a frank acceptance, but out of courtesy, Gu Ning still thanked Anjan. As soon as he went out of the hospital, Gu Ning felt comfortable. After half an hour, the two finally got home. Gu Ning and her mother lived in an old alley in the old city. It was old and demolition, but it was already planned. The demolition was a matter of time. Therefore, Gu Ning's mother and daughter are not living here for a long time. Here is the property of Gu Ning's grandparents, but after the death of the grandfather 10 years ago, the grandmother followed the big sister Gu Qingxiang to live. Therefore, the house is also placed and temporarily lived for Gu Man and her daughter. Of course, it is not white living, it is renting. It's just because of the relatives' relationship, the house with a rent of 1,000, they will receive 500. Because it is very old, although it is the old town, but there is not much heat around, so some are partial, the rent will be so low. This is a two-story house, each floor is only about 40 square meters, the first floor is the living room and kitchen, the toilet, and the second floor is 3 rooms. When Gu Jia's family lived here, Gu Ning's grandparents were one, Gu Qingxiang and Sancha Qingyang, Gu Qing and Gu Man, and everyone was very crowded. However, later Gu Qingxiang developed, and bought a house outside. Gu Qingyang also got the country's iron rice bowl, the unit has a house, and the days are getting better. However, there is only simple furniture in this old house. What kind of appliances such as TV, refrigerator, washing machine, etc., don't even think about it. To the point of being poor, Gu Ning is also drunk. Even if the previous Tang Ai Ning was so embarrassed, it was much better than this. It can be said that it cannot be compared at all. However, Gu Ning did not feel disgusted and repelled, but felt very warm, because there is a strong maternal love, there is warmth she has never enjoyed. She wants to make money quickly and let Gu Man live a safe and prosperous life. After she made the money, the first thing was to buy a big house, buy good clothes for Gu Man, and then give her a beauty card to take care of herself. Gu Man's age is not too big, only 39 years old, there is still a long way behind. For 18 years, Gu Man is single. Gu Man grows well, and many people pursue Gu Man, but Gu Man is afraid that Gu Ning will be wronged, so he has not promised. However, Gu Ning is now growing up. He feels that Gu Man should have a companion, so after he has planned to wait for the conditions, he must let Gu Man find a man who loves her and have a good life for the rest of his life. As for Gu Ning's father, Gu Man has never been willing to mention it, so even with his family, he does not know the specifics. Gu Ning only knows that Gu Man was pregnant at the age of 19, when she was in the second semester of her freshman year. After pregnancy, Gu Man did not study and returned home. At that time, Gu family was shocked when they knew about this matter. No one could think of it. The most well-behaved Gu Man in the family would actually do this kind of thing. This is a shame for Gu Jia, so Gu's family forced Gu Man to kill the child. Gu Man did not want to. In order to keep the children, Gu Man left home, working outside the home, renting a house. During that time, it was very bitter. Because of pregnancy, there was no need to go to work, and it was all thanks to Gu Qing. Because Gu Ning's grandfather had not died at the time, and he loved the little daughter when he was young, he couldn't watch his daughter suffer, and then he took it home. Before Gu Ning's grandfather did not die, he was taking care of Gu Ning, while Gu Man went out to work to earn money. Because living in the house of my parents, Gu Wen's salary is used for household use. 10 years ago, Gu Ning's grandfather passed away, and Mrs. Gu moved to her home, Gu Qingxiang's family. Because Gu Qingxiang and Gu Qingyang couldn't get used to Gu Man, a daughter who occupied the house of her parents, she ignored the old lady's rent. Ning Ning, you go to bed and rest, Mom to cook, change the clothes, I will wash for a while. Gu Man said. Mom, then you cook, I come to wash clothes. Looking at the thin Gu Man, Gu Ning is somewhat unbearable, always thinking of the mother of the past life, so that Gu Ning does not want to do something for her. No, you are a patient. Gu Man refused. I am fine now. Gu Ning is a little dumbfounding. That doesn't work either. Gu Meniang is angry and refuses to compromise. That, okay. Gu Ning no longer insisted, only compromise. After half an hour, the food has been cooked. Because of the conditions, Gu Man's mother's meal is very simple, and there are not a few meals on weekdays. However, because Gu Ning is a patient, Gu Man bought meat today. When eating, Gu Man always gave Gu Ning a meat, but he did not clip himself. Gu Ning's nose is sour, but Gu Man needs nutrition more than Gu Ning. Mom, so much meat, you eat a few more, this weather is so hot, if it is left to smell at night. Gu Ning immediately gave Gu Man a few pieces of meat. Gu Man naturally knows Gu Ning's mind, and does not want to make her sad, she did not refuse. In my heart, it is sour. I blame myself and failed to give Ning Ning a better life. After eating a good meal, Gu Man immediately rushed Gu Ning back to the room to rest, but Gu Ning did not want to rest, this is a weekend today, Gu Ning wants to go to the antique street. Try her jade and see if I can make a mistake and make money. Gu Ning took out only 500 private money and ID cards, and Gu Man said, Mom, I went out and walked back. However, Gu Ning was just discharged from the hospital, and Gu Man was relieved, but, you are discharged from the hospital and need rest. Do not worry, Mom, I am fine, and go out for a walk, activities, sun drying, better for the body. Gu Ning spoiled. But Gu Man is still not at ease. Mom, I am already an adult, not a child, I will pay attention, and, I am holding a mobile phone, if you are worried, you can call me occasionally. Gu Ningdao. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 8, Jewelry Store Storm. Chapter 8 Jewelry Store Storm. When it comes to this, Gu Man has no choice but to compromise, but he swears, then you should pay attention to safety, and call your mom if you have any discomfort. Know it, Gu Ning responded, and went out. After going out, Gu Ning looked at the mobile phone in his hand, full of disappointment, this is the kind of 100 or 200 old man machine. To be honest, she used to use the smart machine, and now this button, she is not used to it. Make money, buy a smart machine for yourself in Gu Man. Because there is no direct bus to the antique market in Gu Ning's place, Gu Ning only has to sit in the city first, and then go to the city to transfer to the bus in the antique market. Going to the city, because it is not the peak period of work, so the road is not blocked, it took 20 minutes to go to the city center. The platform under Gu Ning did not have a bus to the antique market, so go 300 meters, then turn right to the street, and then walk 100 meters to get to the bus stop of the antique market. Because it is the city center, surrounded by business districts, many big-name jewelry stores are gathered here. I glanced at it. When Gu Ning's eyes fell on the jade pendant placed on the window of the jewelry store next door, there was an idea, that is, go in and see the jade. Although I know from the information how to absorb the aura, but there is no actual action, so I still feel curious. Just entering the store, I heard a bitter female voice came, hey. Isn't this a Gu Ning classmate? How? People who can't afford to eat even can afford a jewelry store. Yes, Gu Ning is at school, a person who can't afford to eat. Although Gu Man gave her a pocket money every day, it was enough for her to eat, but Gu Ning, who has always saved money, seldom eats, usually a buns. Otherwise, how can Gu Ning save 500 yuan of private money? This girl who is looking for Gu Ningzhen is called Xiao Feifei. She is a classmate of Gu Ning and a member of the literary and art circle. In the class, it is her most and Gu Ning cannot go. Not only humiliating her words, but also often throwing paper at her, throwing garbage in her drawers, scribbling graffiti on her textbooks, and teasing. She will be so against Gu Ning, not only because Gu Ning's life is not good, but also because she looks good, which makes it known as Ban Hua, but not the most beautiful. Xiao Feifei is very embarrassed and unwilling. A poor family, why do you look better than yourself? Together with Xiao Feifei, she is a girl of the same grade, but Gu Ning does not know. When everyone heard Xiao Feifei's words, they all looked forward to Gu Ning. The people who raised the good things did not bring any look, but the people who were self-sufficient were all disgusted. Especially when she saw her old yellow clothes, she didn't know how many years she wore it, so she didn't even look up. I feel that Gu Ning, a poor ghost, appears in the place where they appear, which is simply lowering their grades. Regarding the look of everyone, Gu Ning does not care, but for Xiao Feifei's humiliation, Gu Ning is impossible to let it go, so he retorted, "This is not your home, I can't come here." "You come, can you afford it?" Xiao Feifei sneered, and then, Xiao Feifei made a stunned expression and said, "It will not, you are stealing." When the words came out, everyone looked at Gu Ning's eyes changed again, especially the waiter, watching Gu Ning's eyes reveal the vigilance of the red fruit, apparently listening to Xiao Feifei. Gu Ning was annoyed, watching Xiao Feifei's gaze revealing cold light, coldly said, "Xiao Feifei, without any evidence, gibberish, I can sue you." "You." Xiao Feifei was shocked by Gu Ning's gaze, and then she was surprised when she heard her, but she was even more surprised that Gu Ning dared to refute. "You know, no matter how you sneer at her, Gu Ning is boring, and even the atmosphere does not dare to make a sound. Cousin, let's go first." The girl who followed Xiao Feifei was timid. When she heard Gu Ning's words, she was afraid of a real accident and immediately called Xiao Feifei to leave. "Where to go? I have to look at what she can buy." However, Xiao Feifei did not appreciate it. It should be said that Gu Ning would not be put in the eye, although he was shocked, but still not as for the fear of Gu Ning. Also, Gu Ning, a poor student with no power and no background, has nothing to do with her. After all, he also looked provocatively to Gu Ning, a gesture of watching the drama. Whoever has to come in must buy it. Gu Ning is quite speechless. "You don't buy things, do you come in?" Xiao Feifei also knows this, but he still asks. "Can't you look at it?" Gu Ning asked. Youth Xiao Feifei gasped not, for a time without words. Gu Ning no longer pays attention to Xiao Feifei, walks directly from her, and wanders around. Although the people did not look at the poor people like Gu Ning, they did not say anything. Because, as she said, there is no rule that it must be bought when it comes in. However, because of Xiao Feifei's words, the waiter deliberately stared at Gu Ning, for fear that she would really steal. They just forgot, and don't say that there is monitoring in this store. These jewels are locked in heavy glass. Even if you want to steal, it is not so easy. Although Gu Ning was questioned because he was questioned, Gu Ning could not say anything. Gu Ning came to the jade area and concentrated on the jade. After 10 seconds, they saw a faint white mist on the surface of the jade, and these faint mists were aura. Only these auras are very thin, indicating that the quality is not very good. Gu Ning does not disappoint, but because these jade objects are blocked by glass, Gu Ning cannot absorb the aura, and must be absorbed without blocking. Therefore, Gu Ning can only hope that it can't wait, and can't help but sigh slightly. However, she sighed and something went wrong. Some people can't afford it, and they can only sigh. It's really pity. A satirical female voice came. Isn't it? This poor man can't afford it for a lifetime, and he can only read it. Another woman echoed. Gu Ning is speechless. He is simply a black body. He can be satirized with a sigh. It is really pitiful. Even she can't be sympathetic to herself. How do they make sure she can't afford it for a lifetime? She is poor now, can't afford it, but it doesn't mean I can't afford it later. Gu Ningqiao looked at the two women. About 40 years old, it looks good, and dressing is also extravagant. It just seems to be too expensive, but it is a bit more rustic. Especially the woman on the right, hey, the 2 fingers, wearing 3 rings, diamond ring, gold ring, jade ring. On the wrist, wearing a gold bracelet while wearing a jade bracelet. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School. Chapter 9, Antique Market. Chapter 9, Antique Market. On the neck, the chain of platinum, the size of the jade pendant. The gold earrings are not small. At first glance, they are rich in a violent anger, for fear that others do not know that she has money. But looking at it, Gu Ning couldn't help but laugh, and couldn't help but laugh at it. The woman saw it, her face was a little unsightly, and she said, "What are you laughing at?" "I laugh at you. Since you are so rich, how can you wear fake jade bracelets? And the fake jade pendant?" Gu Ning was unceremoniously exposed. Yes, the jade bracelet on the woman's wrist and the jade pendant on the neck are fake. Originally she wanted to the aura of the other jade bracelet and the jade pendant, but she couldn't think of it, it turned out to be fake. As for the gold thing, she doesn't understand it, so she doesn't know the truth, but the jade ring in her hand is true. Although she knew that this woman absolutely did not know that this thing was fake, but did not prevent her from bursting out, in retaliation for her humiliation. Woman. There are not a few careless eyes. Gu Ning admits that she is not atmospheric, so she does not want to endure the gas, she will never bear it. What do you say? The woman heard the words and suddenly became angry. It was not the fact that she was pricked. Instead, she felt that the other person deliberately said that her things were fake, misunderstanding and embarrassing her. This thing was given to her by her husband is so rich, how can she send her fake? And the other side is a poor girl, know what? Hey! Don't talk nonsense, poor is forced, and hatred is useless. Being forced by the poor, Gu Ning is not angry, she is now poor. Love letter does not believe, but every store has an appraiser. If you want to, you can go to the appraisal and identification. If I have something, I will not accompany it. Gu Ning kindly reminded that he turned and left. The woman didn't want to let go of Gu Ning so easily, but she still wanted to find a shackle, but she was blocked by the woman around her, golden sister, and a poor girl, she has lost her identity. In this case, she immediately reminded the woman who was called Jin Jie. She always felt that her status was noble and she still paid attention to the image of the lady. Suddenly, Jin Jie put on a high-spirited appearance, looked at the back of Gu Ning Yuan, and dismissively said, "Hey! This lady will not care about her." After that, I went on to see the jade. Just do not know why, Gu Ning's words cannot be pressed in her heart, always want to identify the jade bracelet and jade pendant that Gu Ning said is fake. Here, Xiao Feifei has not left at the door of the store, because she wants to see what Gu Ning is going to do, and the situation in the store, she naturally looks at it. Seeing Gu Ning coming out, Xiao Feifei couldn't help but ridicule it, "Oh. Some people can't afford it, even if they can still hate the rich, hee. You can afford it, then you buy it." Gu Ning said indifferently. "You. But I don't want to." This step on Xiao Feifei's painful foot, a face is ugly. Although Xiao Feifei was born into a wealthy family and had tens of millions of assets at home, this does not mean that she can afford it. These jewels are just tens of thousands of dollars. Her monthly pocket money is only 2,000 or 3,000, and her spending is big, and where is the money to buy? It's just that she's going to her birthday right away. She wants to see if she has any jewelry she likes so that her mother can buy her a birthday present. No longer paying attention to Xiao Feifei, Gu Ning went straight. Although Xiao Feifei was not reconciled, he could not find a rebuttal of Gu Ning. Xiao Feifei's cousin Xiao Shui saw Xiao Feifei being annoyed, and the atmosphere did not dare to make a sound, for fear of becoming her punching bag. After all, this is not twice. If it weren't for the good conditions of Xiao Feifei's family, there were many places in her family to rely on Xiao Feifei's words, and she would not like to please her so humble. After leaving the jewelry store, Gu Ning went directly to the antique market. From the city center to the antique market, it takes half an hour to go to the antique market, and it is about 3 in the afternoon. The antique market, also known as the old-fashioned market, is equal to an old word. Only old objects can be called antiques. So many people say that when antiques are true and false, they also like to call them old objects. Antiques have been around for many years, so there are still a lot of people in the antique street, but most of them are middle-aged men and old men. There are not many young people, like Gu Ning's age students, and there are even fewer girls. There are still few in the end, but it is either to come with an adult or to watch the excitement. So where Gu Ning passed, there was no vendor to sip her. On both sides of the street, the stalls are more conspicuous than the shops, but there are hundreds of stalls in the ground. One or two of the tens of thousands of items are very good, and you want to find one or two pieces on so many counterfeit goods. Genuine, 2 words, hard. Both antiques and jade are high-risk investments. The industry regulations are, the antique market is not anti-counterfeiting, paying attention to, hands over the money, one-handed delivery. Buy is leaving, no return. If you have a bad luck, you can get rich overnight. If you buy the wrong one, it is destined to be bloodless, and some people are ruined. Gu Ning is very slow, because she is tired when she uses jade, and she has to take a break to see it again. Along the way, Gu Ning did not find a genuine, very disappointed. Also, antiques have been around for many years, and most of the real objects have been collected, and there are still some leaks for her. It seems that her idea of making money with antiques is still too naive. There are many gambling stones, but the main source and market are in the Myanmar and Wai provinces, and few other cities. Even if there are, I am afraid that most of them are some of the defective products that have been deleted, and the green rate is very low. Of course, the gods are difficult to break. The jade, the appearance is not good, does not mean that the inside is not good. However, it does not mean that the F city is far from the country of Myanmar. Gu Ning can't go now, even if he doesn't worry about the road, he wants to go, there is no toll. Although the ticket is only a few $1,000s, but these thousands of dollars for Gu Man and mother, it is not a small amount of money. And she has the ability to do things that can't be exposed, even if it is Gu Man, so she wants to go, there is no reason to go. Although Gu Ning has no hope for the existence of jade wool in F City, Gu Ning will still ask. It is even better, even if most of it is waste, or a jade with a low variety, the mosquito meat is also meat. She will not be disgusted. Just as Gu Ning was ready to turn around and leave, his eyes were attracted by an object in the inconspicuous corner. It is a bracelet, which is made up of 12 toe-sized porcelain blocks. It is covered with stains, the gray is not slippery, and the appearance is not good, but Gu Ning can see a faint look. White mist. End of this chapter. Reincarnation of the Businesswoman at School Chapter 10, Missing. Chapter 10 Leaks. If there is aura, it means that it is the real thing. Gu Ning's heart is dark and happy, but the face is not moving. Gu Ning walked to the front of the stall and the stall owner saw that Gu Ning was wearing a normal, and still a little girl, that she did not have money, so she did not mean to take care of it. And Gu Ning did not care, pointing directly to the string of bracelets and asked, "Boss, how much is this bracelet?" As soon as the stall owner saw the string of bracelets, his brow wrinkled, apparently a look of disgust. Why? Because in his opinion, this bracelet is fake, and he has already lost his plans, just do not know how to put it here. However, since someone asked, no matter whether people want him or not, he also screamed, 50 pieces. 50 is not a lot of money, but for the current conditions of Gu Ning's family, it is definitely big money. However, this is a business that is not profitable, and Gu Ning will let it go. Gu Ning is afraid that he is too refreshing and causes the suspicion of the stall owner. It is not good to repent, so it is difficult to say, "Boss, can you be less? I am just a student, there is no money." That's 40. It can't be less. Because looking at Gu Ning is not like having money, so the stall owner feels that he can let it go. Anyway, for him, it is a steady profit. Gu Ning hesitated for a moment, and said, "Okay. Then I want it." Said, took out 2 $20 notes from the pocket and handed them to the stall owner. The stall owner took the money and took the bracelet to Gu Ning. After taking the bracelet, Gu Ning turned and left, and went directly to the appraisal center. She went to the appraisal center naturally not to identify the true and false, but to sell the money, and only to have more money to do more things. The antiques market has a large trade fair every month, and there are a lot of people, but there are many people in peacetime, and some people trade, but there are fewer people, and the price can't be lifted. Gu Ning came to the appraisal center, and some people were appraising antiques, but there were also a lot of people on the scene. Some were purely watching the fun, some were waiting for the results, and if they were true, they bid and took pictures. The appraisal experts are all senior experts. The appraisal center also has its own rules. If the appraisal result is false, it will not charge any fees, but if the appraisal is true, it will charge a certain fee. If it is directly auctioned out, there will be more fees. But with the big head, there is no one paying attention to the cost. Gu Ning walked into the appraisal station and looked at the appraiser's upright identification. It was a snuff bottle with fine workmanship, colorful colors and beautiful materials. It seemed to be enough to be fake. However, Gu Ning used a jade, and did not see the fog from above, so this thing is fake. This is a fake appraiser took about 10 minutes to complete the results. What? False. In the crowd, a shocked male voice was very convinced. I saw that person was unbelievable. Are you wrong? How could it be fake? Don't you question me? The appraiser was questioned, naturally unhappy, and his beard trembled. As soon as the man heard it, he immediately explained, no, it is just because this is the treasure of my family's family. It was passed from my grandfather to my father and then to me, so some people can't accept it. This is fake. When I heard the man's explanation, everyone also expressed understanding. Brothers, the treasure of the family is not necessarily the real thing. That's right. It must have been seen by your ancestors. This kind of thing is very much. The man looked bitter and sneaked away with something. He thought that this thing was true, and he used it to buy a money, but he couldn't think of it, it turned out to be fake. Then several of them are fakes, but these people are all on the market, and they don't spend much money. Although they are discouraged, they are not so sad. Master, you help me to identify whether this bracelet is true. To Gu Ning, she took the bracelet she just scoured and walked over. Everyone saw that it was a little girl, and she was still holding a gray bracelet in her hand, and she was not optimistic about the ugly bracelet. This is where the garbage is coming from. It's so ugly. This little girl wants to make a fortune and wants to go crazy. This thing is also used for identification. If you look at it, you know it is fake. Gu Ning doesn't care too much. It's good to speak with facts. Although the appraisers do not think it will be true, but because of the professional quality, naturally will not refuse the identification of each antique. The appraiser took the bracelet and looked at it. He looked at the gray and did not look at the autumn. Some of his heart was disgusted. However, when he took out the pill to wipe the stain on the bracelet that was not slipping in autumn suddenly showed color. The colors are white and blue, and irregular squares are strung together. However, this thing turned out to be porcelain. The appraiser's brows can't help but wrinkle. I think this is a modern handicraft. If it is ancient, who would use porcelain to make bracelets? However, he actually took the appraisal, and it must start and end. So the appraiser continued to wipe the bracelet, but when he was halfway through it, he found something wrong and couldn't help but make a squeaky sound. Everyone heard the sound and immediately asked eagerly. What happened? Is this really true? The appraiser did not speak and continued to wipe the bracelet. Soon, the entire bracelet was wiped clean. Everyone also saw that the material was porcelain, frowning, and some disappointment, because they had never seen it, and had never heard of a bracelet made of porcelain in ancient times, so they all felt that this is definitely a modern handicraft. Only they did not find the change of the appraiser's looks. At this time, the appraiser's face was not careless, but they were still surprised and then showed joy. Daddy, the appraiser said, this porcelain is the blue and white porcelain of the Ming and Qing dynasties. What? Real or fake? It was heard that everyone was surprised. Blue and white porcelain in the Ming and Qing dynasties, does this mean that this thing is true? Although the blue and white porcelain of the Ming and Qing dynasties is not expensive, it is not cheap. Suddenly, everyone looked at Gu Ning's eyes full of envy, but Gu Ning was very calm, which made everyone feel that she had already known. In fact, Gu Ning does not know, only know that this is the real thing. It is a good blue and white flower in the Ming and Qing dynasties. It should be that the original object has been broken, and it has been made into a bracelet. Otherwise, who will use a good blue and white porcelain to make a bracelet? Little girl, where did you get this blue and white bracelet? Someone asked. Gu Ning, who was on the ground, did not hide. What? The leak, this little girl is too lucky. Everyone envied inside. Little girl, do you sell this blue and white bracelet? I am out of 30,000. A middle-aged man in a suit and a squat with a paper bag under his arm, eagerly asking for a price. End of this chapter.